Canadian National is Canada's largest rail operator, which spans from coast to coast. It's no surprise that this railway has some of the newest and most efficient locomotives speeding down the 32,000 kilometers of track they own. In this video, I'll be talking about CN's ES44AC, one of the most used locomotives and owned locomotives in both Canada and USA. First things first, let's get to know what ES44AC stands for. The ES stands for Evolution Series, the 44 stands for 4400 horsepower, and the AC stands for AC traction motor. In 2003, railroads across North America were looking for new locomotives to meet EPA's strict Tier 2 emission standards. General Electric, commonly known as GE, was chosen by railroads to build the new locomotive as the company was proven to be a much more reliable option instead of Electric Motive Division, also known as EMD. The first ES44AC was rolled out of the factory and was an instant success. The sales of the locomotive surpassed some of the most popular locomotives, such as the EMD SE40. The ES44 was built as a successor to the decade-old GE AC4400 CW locomotive, which was proven to be a success. CN placed an order for 60 locomotives in 2011 and ordered an additional 45 in late 2014, which cost the company $262.5 million. These locomotives were the first completely new locos purchased by the company since 2007. The locomotives came stock with a Gevo V12 4-stroke diesel engine, which put 4,400 horsepower. The engines measured 73 feet 2 inches in length and 10 feet in width. They are rated for a top speed of 112 kilometers per hour and 70 miles per hour for you Americans out there. Many other railroads such as Union Pacific, Canadian Pacific, Kansas City Southern, Ferromex, Norfolk Southern, CITI Rail, CSX, Florida East Coast, and BNSF own the locomotive alongside CN. If you've ever seen the Florida East Coast ES44ACs, you'd notice a tank running in between both locomotives. The tank houses liquefied gas because the Gevos can run both on diesel and LNG, which is cleaner and more efficient. If I've done the math correctly, there are a whopping 2,879 ES44ACs gracing the rails around the world as of 2022. CN has other variants of the 44AC series, including the ET44AC and the ES44DC. The ET and ES44ACs have AC traction motors, which increases the amount of grip the locomotives have on the tracks. This helps the locomotive pull longer trains and reduce wheel slip and maintenance. In this video here, you can see this NS train led by BNSF ES44DC and an NS C44-9 struggle uphill on the RB&M Lehigh line. The wet rails on the tracks and DC motors in both locomotives cause the train to have less traction on the rails, causing it to slip on certain occasions. The train is traveling at 0.6 km per hour or 0.4 miles per hour. This is the main reason why newer locomotives are equipped with AC traction motors instead of the older DC motors. As a rail fan in the Greater Toronto Area, I commonly see these pieces on manifest and intermodal trains zipping by the windows of my local hobby store. Unfortunately, some of these locomotives have been involved in wrecks, such as NS8132, which was involved in a head-on collision with an SD40 in Sandersville, Georgia. If you want to see a full documentary on how this happened, I'll leave a link in the description to Thunderbolt 1000 Siren Productions video on the crash. With EMD out of the books, it seems that GE is now the current leader in American locomotive development. One of EMD's last production of AC power locomotives was in 1992, when the SD70ACE was produced. These days, we can see the SD70 variants working together with modern-day Gevos. In 2021, CN painted 4 ES44ACs and 1 EMD SD70M-2 into heritage units. These ES44s were painted into Illinois Central, Allegan, Joliet, and Eastern, Wisconsin Central, and BC Rail, whereas the SD70M-2 was painted into Grand Trunk Railway blue and red. These locomotives honor the railways that have been merged to form the now known CN. These newly painted engines are sure to be something special for rail fans. I sure hope to get an HO scale ES44 in the future, since it's a very modern locomotive which fits perfectly into what I'm modeling. With the start of a new century, these massive locomotives will be sure to take over railways and railroads. Although railways are already testing new hydrogen-powered locomotives, I'm almost certain we'll see these locomotives around for a few more decades. In the next video of Engines of CN, I will be talking about CN's Dash 8 line of locomotives. CN has a few different variants of this locomotive, and they are one of my favorites. These GE-built locomotives have unfortunately met the end of their career working on railways, which I'll get into in the next video. I sure hope you enjoyed this first video covering CN's roster.